All right. Hello, everybody out there on the interwebs, on YouTube, on Facebook, wherever it is that you are coming from. Hello and welcome into this. We are T minus 30 minutes to the launch, potentially, of Starship for the sixth time. Propellant load is underway officially. Let's kind of just take you through kind of what the day has looked like for SpaceX so far. At about 12:30, they started to get the tank farm spooled up. Essentially, what that means is that they are taking super cooled liquids and pumping them through all of the lining at Starbase, essentially in their tank farm. So they're going to go through all the subcoolers, all the sub chillers, all the pipes, all the lines, and they're going to cool them down to the super cooled cryo temps that are necessary to contain the fuels that are going to go into Starship. Starship then about 15-ish minutes ago entered fueling. SpaceX confirmed that prop load had begun on ship and booster. Prop load is currently sitting at probably about a quarter of the way full. Right now they're loading liquid nitrogen and liquid oxygen onto both ship and booster of Starship in order to get propellant. It's going to be over 4 ton. It's huge. It's massive. The amount of tonnage is ridiculous. Like 3 tons of liquid nitrogen, 1 ton of liquid oxygen. It might be the opposite. Forgive me on that. But either way, lots of fuel going into this the ship and booster right now that will eventually propel it off the pad and into the air. What'll happen once it's in the air is that it's going to travel downrange over the Gulf of Mexico and enter into a hot staging technique. So you'll get the main engine cutoff of all 33 Raptor engines on the booster. At that point, they will ignite the 6 Raptor engines on the ship, and then they will separate the vehicle from the booster after the ignition of those engines. It'll essentially propel it away from the one vehicle away from the other, is how it'll look. It'll take this vehicle up here and drive it away from the booster. Uh, Then, after they hot stage, the ship will continue to travel downrange. It's going to thread the needle essentially between Cuba and Florida and just keep on going. Um, the ship, on the other hand, will enter its boost back burn, where it'll reignite some engines to bring it back onto the right trajectory towards the launch pad. Once it is back, as the boost back burn starts, what's going to happen is um, the system itself will autonomously decide if the vehicle is safe or not safe to bring back towards the pad. It determines that. If it determines that it is safe, it will then send a code to Starbase essentially, and the flight director will then have to choose whether or not to bring the booster back to the pad or to put it into the Gulf of Mexico. Um, so it has two fail safes essentially, two fail safe based system where the autonomous system will determine its own opinion, and then the uh, flight director has to choose in their opinion whether or not it is safe as well. Obviously, stage 0 being the launch pad, the orbital launch mount, the tower, all of that is of crucial importance, and they don't want to bring back a gigantic fuel filled missile to the pad if they don't absolutely have to, like, in the sense of it not being safe. They want to make sure that everything that they're doing, everything that they're making a call is safe, and that it makes not a ton of work on the back end. Because if you destroy the launch pad, they just built a second tower, but that second tower isn't going to be ready until probably June, maybe June, July of next year. They haven't built the launch mount yet. They're currently building that at their Sanchez lot. um, but either way, that's essentially kind of where we're sitting right now. Prop load is deep underway. Now we're probably approaching the third of the way full mark as we speak. For anybody who has any questions or whatever, I'm not a rocket scientist, so I don't have a ton of internal knowledge of the ship aside from what I can give based on kind of what I just went over through what the SpaceX timeline kind of looks like for the day, what the uh, flight trajectory, flight path is designed to be. I kind of covered that the booster will return to the launch pad. Again, autonomously, it'll determine whether or not it is safe to do so or not. So again, system will determine if it's safe to bring it back. Then it'll ask the flight director to agree or disagree with that decision. If they agree, it'll come back to the launch mount to be caught. If the flight director does not agree, they'll change the trajectory and they'll drop it into the Gulf of Mexico just off the coast of Boca Chica. The ship, on the other hand, will continue downrange, essentially threading the needle between, again, Cuba and Florida. It'll keep going that direction all the way over to the Indian Ocean, where it'll then re-enter. And when it re-enters, it's going to go through. It's going to come sideways. They have heat tiles on one side that are going to absorb the majority of the heat energy that's going to happen at that time. Um, Once it gets through the plasma filled reentry process that it'll face, it'll come out the other side. They will have it in a belly flop maneuver, and then they will kick some engines on to flip and burn it back up. And they will try to attempt a soft landing at a targeted location. So what they've been doing is they've been putting a buoy in the ocean at a very specific spot, and they try to get on target to where that buoy is. This is going to be the objective of today as well. They're going to continue to do this with the ship. I would guess ship doesn't return to the tower until flight probably 8, maybe 9. They said they want to do it by Q1 of next year, but I think that that's excuse me, that's probably too premature if I have to guess. I don't think that it's going to be Q1 of this upcoming year. I think that it's going to be probably at halfway point Q2, early Q3. Um, This is also the very last flight of the Generation 1 ships. Generation 2 is currently sitting in Star Factory being finished at this point in time. So the ship that we're seeing today, uh, SpaceX is a little bit more willing to dispose of it, is how I'll put it. It's never They don't wanna just, like, dump the hardware for nothing is kinda how I'll put it initially, but really what it is that they're gonna put this thing completely through the ringer so that every ounce of scientific information that they can garner will be absorbed, will be learned, and they can use that information for the Block 2 Starship, which will be what flies next. This is Ship 31. Ship 32, is gonna be skipped, and then the next edition of the ship is going to be the Generation 2 ship, which is gonna be incredible. They already said they've made thousands of small adjustments to the ship going from V1 to V2. Booster has not entered the development stage yet for V2, but it'll happen soon. I would guess that we see a Type 2 booster probably by Q2, if not Q3 of next year. And the Raptor engines that they're currently using are V2 Raptor engines. They have V3 either fully under development or just about done in Star Factory, and that will probably be what we see on the third version of the third version of the engine will go on to the second version of the booster. We are currently approaching T minus 21 minutes to the potential launch of Starship. Propellant load is probably approaching a halfway point. They've gotten it to this point where they can load propellant into Starship within probably about 30 minutes, 45 minutes at most. They have it down essentially to a T. And they started just on time for the opening uh, of the window. So the window opens at 4 o'clock, closes at 4:30. That's Central Time. So 3 o'clock Mountain, 3:30 Mountain for the closing of the window. No, Nate, I'm not working today. I don't know why, but they scheduled me off today. So I'm currently not working. I don't know. They gave me that early time apparently as we head towards Wicked this week. So I'll take it because obviously Starship was supposed to launch yesterday, where that's actually my day off, and today it got moved to today on like Saturday. So I was like, "Oh, it's gonna be gone." But yeah, they did not schedule me today, so I'll take it. Absolutely take it. Um, yeah, this is gonna be This has like potential to be a a big one, but also a fairly reckless one too. Like I said, with them not using this specific type of booster again, this is going away from V1 to V2. They're going to be a little bit more willing to put this thing through the ringer. Elon Musk said that they want its re-entry alignment to be slightly more vertical, so it'll absorb or it's going to take more heat. It's going to enter slower, technically, but because of that, it's going to endure that heat a lot longer, and the tiles are going to be a whole lot more at risk of being ruptured. And for this specific ship, they removed huge chunks of the tiles from the sides of where the tiles would have ended because those tiles would be in the spot where the chopsticks will have to catch it at during an actual catch attempt, which again probably not until Q2 Q3 of next year. It's not going to be as subsequently frequent. They've been way more willing to dump ships than they have been boosters. Booster 12 was caught during the last flight. This is Booster 13. Booster 12 is currently sitting inside of the rocket garden. Um, it'll probably be. I think they're going to scrap it. Is probably what they're going to do. They're going to scrap it for parts. And not even for parts, but just they're going to tear it down. It doesn't need to be there necessarily, just sitting. But that's not always a bad thing either, because then they get to see exactly how that hardware is going to look, exactly how it fared during flight, during reentry, during catch, during all that stuff. So they'll be able to get their pieces of it. There's also rumor because they have one of the original ships at their California uh, office space, essentially, that they will eventually put the booster 12 there as well. So they like keepsakes, that's for sure. They definitely have, they have Starhopper at Starbase. So they like using flight tested, flight proven things and then, posting them up around the area for decor. So, currently sitting at about 50% prop load. Again, liquid nitrogen, liquid oxygen. It's 3 tons to 1 ton in the vehicle. It is absolutely a lot of liquid. Highly combustible. The vehicle also has two different sets of flight termination system, which are giant C4 charges placed at crucial points of the vehicle. Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine that they don't turn it into some sort of display piece. SpaceX likes doing that with their expended equipment. Um, I think they've already taken out all 33 of the engines, and they're at the Sanchez lot where they do all the engine testing. Um, but the ship or the physical booster is still sitting at Starbase. I can't imagine that they keep it there forever. It's taking up space where they're going to have to roll out more boosters and more ships in coming weeks and months. Again, with this, especially with this being the last of the Type One ship, they're definitely going to have to make some space here soon. So I'd imagine that that's exactly what happens: is that they hollow it out, they take all the pieces out of it that they can either A reuse or B that are just trash, and then they use it as a nifty display down at Starbase. That's I like that idea. It looks cool. It's these pieces of equipment are awesome. Um, yeah, the flight termination system. Obviously, flight termination system is giant C4 charges placed on key points of the vehicle, where if the vehicle strays off of course, it can autonomously be activated and destroy the vehicle. It can also be chosen to go into FTS by the flight director. The key points at which I'm referencing are essentially where the liquid nitrogen and liquid oxygen tanks touch. The charges are set right at that. It would essentially puncture those and mix those two together. Those two things together, they don't do good things. They explode. So that's exactly what the premise would be: is that if the vehicle starts to do what it's not supposed to do, they would have to autonomously destroy it, or it would destroy, it would autonomously destroy itself, or they could choose to destroy it if push came to shove. Um, all right. Sorry, I gotta adjust some volume here. So, I probably should have done this kind of stuff at the beginning of the video, as especially like not all the time do I have people kind of free floating in and out of these videos, but they always go onto the platforms for them to be watched. Excuse me, at a later date and time. So, I'm John, and this is Introverse Uncharted. This is my YouTube channel where I talk about sports, space, and anything else that I desire to talk about. Essentially, the one thing I don't talk about is politics. I don't feel like that has very much of a home on my platform. I like talking about things that are happy and fun and not necessarily divisive, except for sports. I don't like the Bears. That's really not something that I can deal with. But, you know, Introverse Uncharted is just a fun platform where I can kind of pump a little bit of my creative energy. We can talk about, again, sports, space, science, whatever. We can talk about so much fun stuff on the channel. If you guys haven't yet, if you don't haven't done so, like, follow, share, subscribe, all that stuff, right? All of the standard YouTube slash social media garb. Like, follow, share, and subscribe to this channel so that we can do a whole lot more fun stuff in the future. Also, currently, the stream at which I'm watching is NASA Spaceflight. NASA Spaceflight is absolutely the best source for space related news, for live events, all sorts of stuff like that. So they cover a lot of SpaceX's Starlink launches. They cover every Starship launch. They cover a lot of military based launches out of Vandenberg, and then every week they do a This Week in Space Flight as well, where they talk about what has happened around the world in the world of space flight. So if you haven't had the opportunity to yet, please go and check them out. Give them a like, a follow, a share, and a subscribe because their team is just incredible. They put in a lot of great work, lots of positivity on that platform. So go check it out. They also made here for Facebook. You can kind of see them right here. I'll move this camera here, but up here I have all these patches. There on this one. There on this one. Those are all NASA space flight patches for um, each, especially the bottom half is all Starship ones. So I just bought my sixth one about a week ago. They should ship by the first week of December, so it would be cool to add another patch to excuse me, to the collection because I'm that nerd now and I really like collecting them. Speaking of which, did I pin these? I did, yeah. Don't want to do that. These are also things that NASA Spaceflight does. They just started doing patch stickers. So, all right, fam. It's getting closer and closer. Prop load, to me, like, I don't know, like I said, normally it takes about 45 minutes to fully load the vehicle. To me, it feels like today is going a little bit slow, and that's fine. Um, I've heard so obviously the window opens at 4 o'clock Central, closes at 4:30 Central. One of the things that I have seen as a rumor, because Elon likes being this guy, is that he likes to do 4:20 launches. So the very first test flight of Starship was on April 20th. And today the window is shockingly close to that. And he is still apparently young enough of a man mentally that 4:20 is still funny. I'm kind of joking because 4:20 is funny. Like I still like every now and then at work, I'll be like, ha ha, ha it's 4:20. Like, oh yeah, for sure. No, like these ones are super cool too. These ones are like holographic. So yeah, they're like for all of the this is the first four flights, and then this one is the last two. Not the best view. This is the current one. This is the one I have the patch for coming here soon. This is do this for YouTube as well. But first four, last two. They're super cool. I mean, honestly, I've like debated. I was like, oh, maybe I'll like put them on my laptop or whatever. But like honestly, what I like stickers fall off of laptops and stuff so frequently. It'd be weird to spend like shamefully $22 on these stickers, just to watch them fall off of my laptop. But I digress. Still pretty pumped about it. I think the stickers are cool. They have like non-holographic and holographic, but I could not pass up the holographic version. They're super cool. Looks like booster is getting pretty close to fully loaded. Ship looks a little behind to me. I think Elon is going to jokingly target 420. I think that's what's going to happen here. If they go in 9 minutes, that's what'll actually surprise me. So that's also the thing too is once they get to T minus 40 under T minus 40 seconds to T minus 39 seconds, it enters terminal count. So anything after that, any autonomous, the system takes over at that point, and if the system detects anything wrong, it'll scrub the flight for the day. Once it scrubs the flight for the day, they would have to fully recycle, meaning they have to detank, they have to put that prop load away, and then they would have to redo it. But the problem with that is boil off. These chemical elements tend to boil off if they sit for too long. So at about T minus 40 seconds, they have a window. The window is about 15-ish minutes that they can hold and then go. But a lot of times, like the last few flights, they've chosen to not do that. But if they do it, it definitely runs the line of them possibly having to scrub for the day. And that's, like I said, that's just never a good time. They've only had to do it once, luckily. And everything they do at this point is essentially clockwork. If I have to give SpaceX anything, it's that they have this tendency of having these mistakes take place and then killing it right after. T minus 7 minutes and 30 seconds. Prop load still underway. Man, yet like booster looks pretty full, but I don't. Ship seems to be chilling. So we're waiting for the OLM vent and the launch or like the tower vent will return. Those will signify the end of prop load. So I don't know how much can be heard in the background, but right now NASA spaceflight is saying that generally around T minus 40 seconds, if they're not going to go into a hold, there's a very odd tiny vent that happens up on the orbital launch mount that would signify the clearing of the remaining prop in the lines. That generally is the key go for knowing that they're going to do it. So the cool thing about watching NASA spaceflight is none of them work for SpaceX. So a lot of what they know is just simply based on watching over and over and over again. They got it down to a T though. It's pretty impressive. So they're saying propellant load should be finished in about 3 minutes. That'll take us to the T minus 2 minute mark. With the removed heat tiles, it most definitely looks like a penguin, like the way the Starship looks without the heat tiles. It has like a all like black scaly back, and the front, especially now under prop load, is turning white with the cryo cooled stainless steel. So it just looks like a giant penguin. Somebody pointed that out to me, and now I can never unsee it. It'll be a penguin forever. Currently, they are projecting that the flight will take place at the opening of the window, meaning that Elon apparently does not want to have a cheap laugh today. Also, for anybody who doesn't use Twitter or anything like that, uh, President-elect Donald Trump flew over earlier and now is at Starbase with Elon Musk. We learned that NASA spaceflight especially learned it the hard way when they flew over their the Air Force One absolutely scrambled their cameras so they couldn't access any feed for like 2 minutes. It was a weird little gap in time for everybody. They're saying SpaceX has not said any anomalies at this point in time. They are not looking at any current issues. The ship, for it being only 4 minutes to possible go, the ship still looks half empty to me. T minus 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Weather is a go. Downrange is go. Uh, air and marine are clear. Currently watching for the tower vent has returned. They're saying that that's signifying that ship propellant load has ended, but I mean, like I said, to me, it still looks half empty, unless there's just something that I'm not knowing at this point. Once the OLM vent comes back, which it looks like it should be doing any second now, that'll determine that booster has rolled up. Oh yeah, no, like I mean, like I said, the average like prop load right now for them. They've got it to a T at like 45 total minutes. So I mean, they're at that mark, but it just I mean to me, just looking at the physical ship, it does not look as full as it normally does, unless they made a modification. T minus 2 minutes. The tower vent is still going, waiting for the OLM vent that'll signify the end of prop load for the booster. So they're right now they're talking about the T minus 40-second hold, which SpaceX has the option to take. Doesn't mean that they will do it, but the last couple flights they haven't, but the first two they absolutely did. So the OLM clamps have been removed, and the rocket is sitting on its own weight on the launch mount as we speak. T minus 45. Looks like we may be in the hold. We're not seeing the T minus 40-second vent. Oh, no hold. T minus 15. Fire suppression system has started. T minus 5, 4, 3, 2. We have ignition. And liftoff of Starship on IFT-6. Go SpaceX, go Starship. Starship has cleared the tower. Those mock diamonds always look so cool. Starship is now traveling downrange. T plus 50 Starship will be approaching max Q, the point of maximum aerodynamic pressure on the vehicle. All 33 Raptor engines are currently running. T plus minute 15 seconds. I'm going to guess that they have approached and passed through max Q. All 33 confirmed to be running. Vehicle is traveling supersonic. Currently traveling 2,200 kilometers an hour and climbing. Altitude of 25 kilometers. Approaching the hot staging. Approaching hot staging. And we have entered hot staging. And we have separation. The booster has flipped back. Booster heading into boost back burn. The tower is go for catch. So the automated system has determined that the vehicle is safe to return to the pad, and the flight director has given its approval. Booster 13 is returning towards the pad. T plus 3 minutes and 30 seconds. First engine shutdown. Booster 13 is traveling back towards the pad. Again, the flight director and the autonomous system have determined that the vehicle is safe to return. Booster is coasting. T plus 4 minutes and 20 seconds. They're saying it'll take about 3 minutes to get there. T plus 4 minutes and 40 seconds. It looks like SpaceX has actually changed their mind and determined that the vehicle is not safe to return to the pad. The tower was go. The tower was go for the catch, but it seems after the boost back burn, the booster is not. This is why this is why the protocols exist, right? This is why the system has multiple fail safes. It's very specifically so that in the event of something going wrong with the vehicle, they have the opportunity to determine whether or not it returns to the pad or not. So, I mean, this is a good thing. The world might see it. I mean, if you're not a space fan, you're not a space follower, you might see it as a failure, but it's not a failure. This is them protecting the pad, the pad and the ground. That booster just screamed past the hot staging ring, which is floating through the air. We have ignition of the engines on the booster. They're saying that they're going for a soft splashdown. They have an amazing tracking angle right now. It's absolutely amazing. Landing burn. I don't even know if I'm supposed to be doing this. 3, 2, 1, and splashdown. There you have it. Flight termination system activated. Wow. Just wow. Waiting for the sonic boom. Wow. Just wow. Insane. Yeah, I mean that's just they're explaining it right now, but this is just simple. Like this is just reality. Not every time that you do a test does it go exactly as you want it to go, and something happened. Oh, they've shut down the outer three engines on the ship, traveling 26,000 kilometers an hour at 148 kilometers altitude. Yeah, but like I was saying, like this is why they test, right? Like this is they they have a bunch of systems, they have protocols in place, and this was something that they had to do in order to. And they have all six engines shut down on the ship currently. Yeah, ship has a lot of tasks in front of it currently, but as of right now, ship is coasting. If you're just joining me on either platform, uh, Booster 13 successfully hot staged from the ship. However, in flight, they had initially determined that the tower was safe and ready to catch it, but during boost back burn, they determined that the ship it's or the booster itself was not safe to bring back to the pad. So they moved it, they steered it back out to the Gulf of Mexico, and they dropped it into the Gulf of Mexico. Then they activated the flight termination system to blow it up and sink it. SpaceX has said several times that that was always going to be one of their strategies if they had to. It sounds like it could be like a pollutant kind of on the surface, but really what it is they're using them as artificial reefs. So a lot I think they've dropped four. This will be five ships, I think, 4 or 5 ships that they've dropped into the water. Generally, they flight terminate them so that boats don't hit them, and then whatever goes down, generally the carcass of the ship is used as an artificial reef or determined to be repurposed as an artificial reef. But yeah, that's essentially exactly what happened for uh, for Booster 13. Is they just they had the go to bring it back to the pad, but the ship itself or the booster itself was not in a safe position to do it. I'm sure that SpaceX will have a statement about it here soon, but really what we know is they determined that it was not a safe situation, at least not to bring back to the beach where there are, there's no people generally on the beach right at the flight zone, but there are people and there are cars and all sorts of stuff. And if they overshoot, undershoot, if any accidents happen, they put the public at danger, and that is not okay, obviously. So they determined that it wasn't going to be okay, and they put it in the Gulf of Mexico, and they flight terminated. It was honestly super cool to watch. It was absolutely cool to watch. But that happens. That is something that is the risk at which we kind of face in this game, in the space flight game, right? Starships cameras are kind of in and out. They're using Starlink, and sometimes they lose connection. It's just crazy for how many Starlink satellites they've launched. I mean, honestly, it's super funny. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But also the funniest part about it is they have their own like barge team that'll go and like, especially with the hot stage ring, they keep fishing them out. Like they've never reused them. I think they bring them out just to see like what the damage is during the hot staging process. But they very much so have a boat with a crane on it. Looks like a giant fishing pole where they go and get hot staging rings out of the water. I don't obviously they're not gonna go get that anything out of that booster. That booster is that's in pieces at this point. The thing's powder. T plus 12 minutes and 15 seconds. Speed currently sitting at 26,000 kilometers an hour, at an altitude of 168 kilometers. Yeah, the water landing was super cool, but we obviously don't know why. SpaceX will have to wait and see why. Yeah, so that's I mean, I essentially said the same thing is that, they got ships and they got boosters, waiting back in the high bays and in the mega bays, but what they don't have is a second orbital launch mount that is functional and ready to go. They have the tower built, but the OLM hasn't been built yet for Tower 2 and probably won't be functional until Q2, Q3 of next year. So what they had to do for sure is make sure that that the pad is safe, that stage 0 doesn't have any damage. They don't run that thing like a missile into the tower or into the OLM. They do any of that, and they're SOL until they can get hardware back out there. But this was definitely the smart decision to just put it down. There's very literally a chance that that's like real life, Nate. That's like the funniest part about that is there is very literally a chance that he was like, or we could blow it up. like I mean, what they proved last time is they know they can catch it. So now it's like, hey, do we like? Can we just blow it up? He's got Trump with him and stuff like that. Maybe he just want to put on a show. He did. He put on a show. They put a banana in the payload bay. There's literally just a banana tied to a piece of string. They moved before I could switch the camera. It's literally just a piece of string with a banana hanging in in 0 G. All right, though. With that being said, everybody, I'm gonna end the live as they said that now it doesn't seem like ship will re-enter for at least another hour. Um, So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna call this live. I appreciate everybody who stopped in. I saw a decent amount of traffic on Facebook. Saw some on YouTube. I appreciate everybody for stopping by. Either platform, if you can, drop some likes, drop some follows, subscribe, all sorts of stuff. Tell your friends. We will do more of these, especially I do one for almost every starship, and there will be definitely more in the way of content hitting my channel here soon. I've taken a decent sized break, but now we're trying to get back into the nitty gritty and have a good time with it. Thank you guys so very much for tuning in. I'm glad that you guys stopped in for this Starship show. Starship absolutely put on a show. Starship is traveling downrange still, 26,000 kilometers an hour, 184 kilometers vertically. Um, Obviously, Booster 13 did not have the same luck as it successfully hot staged, but then they aborted the catch and put it into the Gulf of Mexico. Still quite a sight to see. Uh, yeah, I mean there will definitely never be uh, there will never be an explosion like it. It's amazing. It's just absolutely huge. Huge explosion. Yeah. That is exactly how that conversation went at Starbase today. All right, you guys, I'm gonna take off. Thank you so very much for tuning in with me. Thanks, Nate, for commenting and having a conversation with me about it. I will see you guys all in the next one. See you guys later.